Welcome back, everybody. Andrew McPeak here with the beautiful, the brilliant, the bold Gina Watts. How are you, Gina?
Thank you. I'm great now that I had that intro.
How could you not? Well, folks, if you believe, like we do, that school should be more than just essays and GPAs, if you believe that EQs are just as important as IQs, and if you expect amazing things from the next generation, then you're in the right place because we believe that too. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful and sometimes overlooked tools in any leader's toolkit, and that is trust. How we build it, how we sustain it, and how leading with authenticity and integrity shapes the relationships around us.
Yes, because, the truth is that trust isn't built in the big, flashy moments.
Yeah.
It's built in those small, consistent ones. And that brings us to our question of the day.
Let's do it.
All right.
With guests.
Yeah, with guest.
This is going to be fun.
You guys aren't used to that. Okay, here's the question. What's one small habit or choice that helps you build trust in your relationships? Why don't we let our guest go first?
Okay. Patrick Erwin is here.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Patrick, we're putting you on the hot seat right away.
I know. I would have it no other way, sir. But that's not trust-building behavior. On the hot seat. The question is, what small habit or choice that helps you build trust in your relationships?
Yes.
I'm going to speak to my lovely bride of going on 21 years, Erin. She's a teacher as well. So we've been through it. You don't stay married for 21 years without doing a little bit of trust building. And one of the things that she and I have done is try and be more empathetic with each other. So if she's upset about something, one of my knee-jerk reaction used to be, oh, God, what did I do now? And now it's, I can tell you're upset, and I know it's not because of me.
Yeah.
So I'm taking on less blame, and I say, you just want me to listen, or do you want me to fix it? And she'll tell me, right? That has changed everything, because as a guy, I want to fix my wife's problems. I want her to win. I want her to succeed, etc. And she just wants me to listen, right?
Yeah.
And so two things that have helped is me knowing it wasn't me, but also becoming more of a listener and less of a fixer in my relationship.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good. Already dropping nuggets.
Good indeed. Yeah, we're taking notes.
We just
and we
did
barely.
question of the day.
I know.
How about you, Andrew?
Well, I thought of in the workplace, as I lead different team members, one of the things I realize as I am trying to build trust with people, one of the most helpful things I can do is spend time with devices away, actively asking them about what's going on in their life. And there are times, it's happened multiple times, when we've got an hour for a one-on-one connection. The to-do list is long, but we spend 45 minutes of it talking about personal stuff.
Yeah.
And what I have found, the reason I do that is my kind of rule for leadership is work stuff tends to take care of itself.
Yeah.
Meaning that if it's urgent, we'll find time to talk about it, right? The thing people don't make time for is connection. Yeah. And when you make that time for connection, it creates a foundation of trust that can sustain the weight of all the other interactions that you have throughout the week. So in a workplace sense, that's how I think about building trust.
Very well said.
Yeah.
You do demonstrate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I immediately thought of the way that I built trust in a previous job. In my current one, I think I still am doing it. Not that I don't feel like I have trustworthy relationships. I think I have. But one of the things that I did was really just to demonstrate open door and open space for people. So when I was in the same physical space as folks, I would make sure that they knew that I was interruptible, that I was present, that, we could connect. And to your point, I asked questions about their lives and their families. And I also recalled and remembered those things so that I could demonstrate presence. Because you always know when somebody's asking you, about yourself, but it's just kind of a checklist. It's not like really, like they don't really care.
They're just asking you that because they feel like they have to.
Right.
Yeah. And
so what I will say, though, moving into a work from home, primarily virtual work experience, it is a big learning curve for me to figure out ways to demonstrate that habit, that behavior of where I came from a high trust environment where I was demonstrating it in physical space to one now that I have to figure out ways to do it in the virtual space. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Awesome.
I feel like you got a lot of trust with me, Gina.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Patrick is remaining silent on that. It's okay, though. He knows I love him.
He does, though.
As the guest, I don't want to overstay my welcome. So, I'm going to let you guys talk until it's my turn.
Well, that time is now, actually. So this is what's so great about trust. I always find that you know it if you have it with someone, but a lot of times it's hard to get our minds around what does it actually take to build trust, right? We've talked about behaviors and actions, but that's really what we want to dig in today. And we're honored and excited to have Patrick Erwin back on the podcast. He was with us in season 1. He did such a phenomenal job, and we just wanted to bring him back. As a reminder, for those who don't know or can't remember, Patrick Erwin is our Director of Content and Training with Growing Leaders in the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. But before stepping into his role with us, Patrick spent 17 years as a high school band director in Cobb County, Georgia. And he led, it's one of the reasons he's here, y'all. He led with heart, he led with humility, he led with vision and a passion for reaching the emerging generation of students. So he holds degrees in political science, music education, and leadership. And he's been honored in numerous awards like the Hero in the Classroom Award, the Leadership in Music Education Award. Patrick is undoubtedly a nationally sought after speaker on leadership, student engagement, professional development. And he's known for inspiring and encouraging educators and leaders alike to lead with authenticity, purpose, and courage. And so we are, of course, honored to have him here.
Yeah, we are so glad to have you back, Patrick.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me back.
So
Took me a whole season to have a new idea. So I skipped from 1 to 3. So now I have a new idea.
Well, just even hearing your bio, I know those things about you, but I continue to be just grateful that I get to share space with you, and that you're willing to share your expertise and your talent and your deep love of the things that we get to do together. So why don't you take a minute and maybe share a little bit about yourself for our audience they get to know about you.
Glad to be back. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. My name's Patrick Erwin, like Andrew said, longtime teacher. I'm still a teacher, just not a classroom teacher. Now, Director of Content and Curriculum, training people to use many of our wonderful resources here at Growing Leaders in the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. Mentioned earlier, husband of going on 21 years to my wife, Erin. We have 2 sons, William and Andrew. Will is 18, just graduated from high school in May of 2025. I don't know when this comes out, but he'll be in college by the time you're listening to this. So
Congratulations.
He's headed to college. We got one moving out. He wants to be a professional pilot.
It's amazing.
Middle Tennessee State. And hopefully when this comes out, he'll still be doing that.
Yeah.
And our youngest, Andrew, is a sophomore, 15 years old, just new driver and stressing us all out. And he's a trumpet player and a baseball player and all the things. And so we have 2 huskies and live in the woods in Paulding County, Georgia. So
love it. Love it.
That's a great introduction. That's
Thanks.
a great introduction. Okay, so we've gotten to know you. I want to get to know your thoughts on this topic. So in your experience, what role does today's topic, trust, play in creating emotionally resilient teams, maybe classrooms, and schools ultimately?
Yeah. Well, to be clear, it's everything, right? I've heard it said before that trust is a currency of leadership. It's if you have a lot of it, you're leading well, and if you don't, you're losing out. And so whatever I'm going to say today, there's 19,000 different ways to talk about trust. I'll recognize that I won't talk about all of them, but I do have some specific ideas. To start, when I was teaching as a band director in a very large 2,400, 2,500 student school, we had 300 or so students that I interacted with every day. And coaches understand this, and anybody who's ever taught an elective understands this, that the name of the game is if they don't show up, you don't have a team. Yeah. I taught an elective, which means they elect to take it. And it was my job to, in many ways, to give them an experience to convince them to keep coming back, because you can't teach empty chairs. And that was all with the knowledge of knowing that maybe 1% of my students in my career are music educators or professional musicians. They're not there to find their career. Music might be their passion, but many of them were smart enough to know maybe it's not my career. Be a lifelong music maker and an engineer at the same time. But the deal is they had to trust me, they had to trust each other, and they had to have an experience that was enjoyable enough to get them to come back. That's kind of the lead into what I'm talking about. I think there are 2 things that I'm going to frame an entire discussion around trust on, and they're 2 G words, so you can remember them, right? Gratitude and growth. I believe that trust is built on gratitude and growth. It's like, I appreciate what you do for me, and I want to help you do it better, right? And it has to be in that order. Like correcting somebody before you connect with them, helping them grow before you appreciate what they've done thus far that's not a recipe for trust, right? And when you show appreciation for people, it gets them on your team. So when you need to have a difficult conversation or push them a little bit to challenge them, that they're going to be more willing to listen and trust you, et cetera. I can think of, I'm not naming names, but any number of administrators in my career. Assistant principals have a tough job. If you're out there listening, I recognize that. To evaluate people many times not in your content area. And to come in and tell somebody you should do this and this and this better, and here's some room for improvement, before you even recognize how long I've been there, what we're doing, how hard we're working, et cetera, is a recipe for me to take a step back and trust you less.
Yeah.
And if I did that with students, like, hey, kids, come in, sit down. You're doing it wrong, right? That's not a great way to do it. I'm here to help you, but I'm thankful you're here. We're going to have a great day, et cetera. So I think a starting point for that is using gratitude as a jumping off point to build trust. And then when it's time to help you grow and the fruits of that come in, that trust will be built much stronger. I think we neglect gratitude a lot in terms of when we're in schools, because my job is to help you grow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think I might already have a DMI, and we only had one question.
That's how I'm feeling.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, let's keep going.
So we should keep going.
Let's keep going. So, you've worked both in the classroom and now in leadership development. What do you think it takes to build authenticity as a leader?
Sure.
And maybe share with us, how do you maintain that authenticity under pressure?
Yeah. I think it's important to realize that we live in a world that's starving for authenticity. I can open my phone right now and show you any number of fake things, right? Not just AI, but people on social media is like, it was the greatest day. Look at this picture of me on the lake. And it's like, we didn't talk about the hour that you fought each other and then spent half your life savings on the boat and et cetera, right?
Yeah.
Been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. So, and students know that as well. They have Finstas and Instas. They're on TikTok talking about one thing and in real life talking about another. And we're starving for authenticity. So this is so necessary. There's a couple of things. The first one I think we have to do, and I'm going to give a shout out to Ryan Jenkins. He's a friend of our organization, author, teacher, speaker. There's some research that's come out that says we are way less likely to say no and set boundaries with an acquaintance than we are with someone who we are close to.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the reason why that is because if we have a cursory relationship, say Andrew and I have a cursory relationship, and it's teetering on this could be great or not, then I'm just going to do whatever could bring us closer together, right? Because I don't know where our relationship stands. I'm going to be more agreeable to you, unless I'm just a grumpy person, perhaps. And so not setting boundaries with people is not a really great way to build trust with them, right? And like the question in terms of being authentic, it's like, I really want to say no to this, but under pressure, I'm going to say yes and overload myself, get burnout, and damage the relationship later. So I would recommend, and this is something we don't necessarily do very well in education because things are constantly changing and there's not time. And then also we want to professional distance, make sure we're staying professional, et cetera. But the closer we get and the more we respect and the more we know each other, the more likely it is our relationship stands on a firm enough footing where I can say, no, I don't think that's a good idea. No, I would try it this way. Or we talked about this boundary. I'm not going to do that. And here's why. And that level of authenticity can only happen if you have a relationship with somebody that stands on solid ground through getting to know each other, connecting with each other. And it kind of goes back to gratitude, being recognized for who you are, the work that you're doing, moving in both directions, and just spending time to connect. Like Andrew said, I think you said it beautifully, and you and I have had these one-on-ones. It was 45 minutes into our 60-minute one-on-one, we're still talking about how awesome our weekend was, or a struggle that we had, or one of our dogs is ailing, et cetera. that's the kind of thing that sets us up to be authentic, to be vulnerable, but also to protect ourselves under stress, right? Where I'm not going to get frustrated with Andrew because we're connected, or I'm not going to agree to something that's not good for me, for us, for the organization under pressure because I'm worried about what he thinks of me. And a specific example of this in education, I had an administrator named Sherry years ago. And Sherry was a coach and an English teacher. She was our athletic director. Safe to say the coach, English teacher, athletic director knew nothing about teaching band. She was also my evaluator. And so in the grand scheme of things, keeping the athletic director happy is really important because she helps us schedule the buses and gets us the tickets for the game. Where are we going to park the semi-trailer and the 5 buses? Do the chaperones have tickets? Do we have water? You see where I'm going with that. Sherry could have just as easily walked into the room and said, I'm in charge. Let me tell you all the things you need to do better. Right? And I would say, you don't even know what we're doing. Sherry's method was brilliant. She would come in and she would lead with, I have no idea what you do here. I think it's magic. It's beautiful. And I love to just stay here and watch. Do you mind if I just stay here and watch? And she would just hang in the back of the room. I felt no pressure like I was being judged. So we were just doing what we do. And then she would talk to the kids. What are y'all doing? What are you learning? Can I hold that tuba? Wow, that's heavy. Let me put that. She would come out to the marching band field and let me wear the drums. I can't believe you guys are doing this. Holy crap, this is so physically demanding, et cetera. And just establishing relationship between the two of us and with our program, all the while saying, I don't know what you're doing here, but there's some things about the environment maybe we can improve, et cetera. There was a time when I had a very young colleague who she and we didn't see eye to eye. I had a set way of doing things and it wasn't working. I'll take the blame for this one. And Sherry sat me down in an evaluation and I had said some kind of complainy things. And she said, I'm going to stop you right there. She goes, the problem here is not her, it's you. You're not engaging with her the way that she needs to. You're trying to run things the way you used to with your older colleagues. You need to take the time and find out what she needs, lead her that way for the good of yourself and everybody here. And that hurt. It's like, ouch, golly. But she had built so much accountability, trust, and credibility with me. Yeah. And like back to the point, gratitude. She would come in and say, I appreciate what you do. I love what you do. The kids are amazing. She was showing them gratitude by saying, I can't believe you're holding this drum. Holy crap, it's so heavy. Da, 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 da. When it came time to push me into a growth moment, she had put so much change in my pocket, to use a metaphor, that when she had to make that withdrawal, it was easy for me to hear. It wasn't easy for me to hear. Let me clarify that. It was easy for me to take a step back and go, you know what? She has my best interest in mind. And she was authentic. She didn't try to be somebody that she wasn't. She didn't try to pretend like she didn't know. She knew more than she did. Right. And we built a connection so that we had a boundary set up that she could correct me and I wouldn't be standoffish about it. Long story short.
No, that was great. What was her first name again?
Sherry.
Sherry.
Yeah. Sherry Thurman. She's fantastic.
Shout
She's
out
retired
to Sherry.
now. And I know she wouldn't mind me telling that.
Yeah. Shout out to Miss Sherry.
Well, it's also beautiful because it felt like, I hope I can sum this up, or I'm fair in how I'm going to sum this up, is it felt like because you had been made confident that she thought of you and who you are as somebody who is capable. Yeah. She walked in and called what you do magic, right? So you knew she doesn't think of me in a bad way. So when she gave you that feedback, your brain could go, she's not talking about me and my capability. She's talking about a specific behavior, right? It's like that's one of the other magical things that I feel like that trust relationship creates is an ability for me to comment on your behavior without you thinking I'm talking about you as a person.
She led with connection and ended on correction when it was appropriate.
That's good.
Too often we go in the opposite direction. Right? I think John Maxwell says rules without relationships leads to rebellion. Right? We got relationship first, then rules.
Dropping nuggets, man.
I can't even write that fast.
All right, I'm going to keep us going just so we don't get long on time. So, Patrick, you talked about it already so many times. In fact, you just talked about it. We know that relationships are central to well-being, right, for students and staff. So can you walk us through some of the specific practices or habits that you have seen strengthen trust in a school community? Yeah.
I think one of the things that schools can get in touch with is how do they recognize people? When I'm talking about gratitude, I think recognition is gratitude in action. Like how do I show gratitude? Well, you recognize people. And there's some things that we do well in education and there's some things that we don't. So here's some low hanging fruit. Vocal praise of people never runs short. There's never a bad time to tell somebody they're doing a good job. Or if they're not doing a good job, but they're working hard, there's never a bad time to tell them that they're working hard. With students especially, telling them that they're doing a good job when they're really just working hard and not doing a good job is that can be a fatal mistake. Like if they think they're doing a good job, they're not going to change. But if you have that conversation with a student or even a colleague, say, hey, you're trying really hard and one day you're going to get it. It ain't there yet, but you're going to get the results that you want with the effort that you're giving. That's kind of a big deal. Yeah. But that's giving somebody false praise is what I'm cautioning against. Yeah. But I think in education, we must just tell, like, there's no reason why you high five somebody in the hallway. It's so good to see you. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have such a great day.
I certainly hope you're glad that
I know, right?
There, right? You're an educator.
Every morning when my 9th grade band class walked in, there were 65 9th graders and me in a classroom. I assumed, incorrectly or correctly, doesn't matter. I assumed that their positive interaction with me was going to be the only adult positive interaction they would have all day. And I would tell them that. I said, I don't know what your relationship is with your parents, with your second block teacher, whatever, but I'm glad you're here. I love you. We're going to have fun. Let's go. And just having that vibe was trust building. And they would tell me, I'm going to do band again next year because it was fun and you treat us like human beings and it's a positive environment, right? I always got great marks in positive classroom environment. Not always on planning, knowing what I was doing, but positive environment.
Similar thing at growing.
Nailed it. Easy. And here's another thing. That's thing number one, vocal praise. Come on. Thing number two, we put a lot of stock. This is teacher to teacher, administrator to administrator. In awards, actually really to students too. We have teacher of the year, teacher of the month, classified employee of the year, classified employee of the month, student of the day is even. It's like, really? Student of the day, who's tracking that? And not to sound salty, but it's going to come across that way. And I recognize that, full self-awareness. I was 3rd in the teacher of the year voting 3 times at my school. And here's why. The criteria for teacher of the year voting is you're nominated by somebody, can be yourself, and then the staff votes on who they think is teacher of the year. So I was in a department called Fine Arts that had 8 people, right? So I could count on 8 votes. Yeah. Right?
Those are your people.
The times I lost was to a math teacher, 30 people in the department. World language teacher, 20 people in the department. Right? It came down in my head. I'm like, this is just a popularity contest. You're going to vote for your people. So if Gina, English teacher, wins teacher of the year, English is great. We have the teacher of the year, right?
For them is a win for you. Yeah.
No criteria on whether you were a good teacher. It was just people voting for people. Maybe it's not like that at your school, but I was salty about it. I think awards without criteria.
Luckily, he's let it go.
Dangerous territory. The things that we had in my organization that I loved, I would call rituals. A ritual is a way that you can recognize everybody for the completion of an event or showing up or doing a thing. The criteria is you're here and part of the organization. We're celebrating shared successes. This would work with a class as well. And there's 2 things that we did, and they're both silly, but I want to give you the ideas. First one is we had plastic spoons. And the student leaders, these are in after-school rehearsals, would walk around on the field. And if they saw somebody working really hard, they would give a student secretly, here's your spoon for the day because you did a great job. And when they brought this to my attention, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But
Who
I
wants
was
a plastic spoon?
Wrong. They would get a spoon and you would thought you just handed them $1 million. Oh my God, they saw, because you're being recognized for your efforts. And they would have these Home Depot aprons on full of spoons. And then the same student leader said, we got some gold plastic spoons. And at the end of the week, we're going to recognize our section of the day, right? So they would get up. Carolyn Borkowski, she would get up on the tower and goes, today we were all outstanding on the field together, but some of you were outstanding in the field together. Like, oh, that's such a great joke. And she would hold up the golden spoon and section of the day is, drum roll, please, the saxophones. And the saxophones, you would think they won the Super Bowl.
That's so good.
I can't even put a value on this plastic spoon because they were so cheap, it doesn't matter. But it was a ritual they recognized, and we made sure everybody got recognized. Let's be clear. So that was a really kind of low-hanging fruit, meaningful thing. The other one, and this was my favorite, is we called it nuts and bolts. And it was at the end of a season, end of a marching band season, end of a sports team season, end of a long season in a classroom. Feel free to take this one with you. I think it works with adults as well. But I would go to Home Depot and spend like $20, maybe, on enough nuts and bolts so that every person got a bolt and every person got 3 nuts. And the ritual was, we're going to spend a few minutes, and I would tell them, these nuts and bolts are useless separately. But when we screw them together and tighten them down, you can build a ship, you can build an airplane, you can build a car, like meaningful things, buildings, bridges are built out of rivets and bolts, right? And so the idea is we're better together. So I would say, walk about and give your individual nuts to people that help you hold it together, that help you make it through, that have helped you make things happen today. And you put it in their hand and say, you're one of my people. And so they would come to me, I would go to them. I would always end up with too many. We armed our leadership with extras to make sure nobody felt left out. And then they would screw them together so that everybody had this nuts and bolts, like completed item. And there were tears, let's be clear. It's like, there people love me, oh my gosh. We're recognizing achievement and also giving them something to latch onto that everybody got to participate in. And then we'd tie a string around them and wear them around our neck for however long. My son still has his on his car rearview mirror from 4 years ago. But it's, like I said, inexpensive ritual that everybody participates in. We're recognizing every student. Yes, we need to give awards to our most outstanding people, most outstanding. I'm not saying everybody gets a trophy. That's hear me say that. That's not good behavior. But I think the more rituals that you can have where you include as many people as possible in the successes of an organization, a team, or an entire school, the better off you're going to be as a leader in everybody you lead feeling recognized, feeling like they belong, feeling like they have a voice, they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Talk about trust-building behaviors. When I can look at my leader and say, they see me, they know that I'm here and work hard, because there's nothing worse than feeling invisible when a leader looks right over you and you're not even there.
That was very profound. Seriously. Like, I'm thinking about ways that I can use the nuts and bolts activity or even the plastic spoons. That amazing. And I'm sure that many of you are like frantically writing down ideas of like, but remember, it's recorded. So you can go back and listen again.
And do it safely in the car.
Yeah,
please,
do it
people.
safely. But yeah, go back and listen again, because that was some really good stuff, Patrick. You know, continuing like just a thought about pressure and what it does to us in our work, and in particularly if we think about in education, it could push people in performance like into self-protection or perfectionism, right? Yeah. How can leaders help create cultures where it's safe to be honest, maybe even vulnerable, without losing that accountability?
Yeah, and let's get real about education in general. Yeah. The pressure to perform has never been higher. Yeah. Students and their GPAs and their SAT scores and their ACT scores and their college entrances and all of the 19,000 activities they think they should be involved in, and teacher evaluation and funding and FTE and QCC. I just made that part up. QCC is not a QVC?
It sounded really important.
It might be something somewhere.
But the pressure to perform has never been higher. And the eyeballs turned on education have never been more focused. And I would love it if we can find ways to get away from that. And there will never be a time where we can't give feedback in education. Giving people feedback is a delicate thing because our world is not getting less fragile. Yeah. Right. And so I think I would love to talk about first, connecting with people is necessary before you give feedback. I don't know if you've read or heard of John Gottman, but he was a relationship expert, studied marriages, but they have what's called the magic ratio. And he said healthy, trusting relationships have a magic ratio of 5 positive interactions to 1 negative interaction. And sometimes it feels like 1 to 1. Hey, great job. Here's some things you could do better. 1 to 1. Yeah. So as an educator, I try to take this to heart and say, I wouldn't count, let's be honest, but I tried to make my positive interactions more than my negative interactions. And even giving feedback in a positive way, still, you know what you're being told. Right. You know you're being told you need to get better. Yep. That wasn't good enough, etc. And it's a delicate balance. And I think the secret to this with students, but also with teachers, is to recognize the difference between helpful feedback and harmful criticism. Right? Harmful criticism the person is the problem, right? People aren't problems. Problems are problems. You're concerned with the fact that they're not holding up to a standard or not holding up to a rule. You're concerned with the fact that they're trying to think of how I want to put this. They're not doing what they need to do, right? All you see is the thing that's not being done. You don't see the person. Helpful feedback is much more, what do you need from me to accomplish your goals? So utilize coaching strategies. What would it look like if we, instead of holding students accountable to these goals that we have for them, if we allowed for them to come up with their own goals within a framework, and then we held them accountable to the goals that they came up with for themselves? What would it look like in an administrator to teacher relationship if you said, what do you want to get done this year? How can I hold you accountable to those goals? It's a different conversation, me saying, Andrew, you're not doing these things that I told you need to do, than, Andrew, you're not doing the things that you told me you were going to do. Very different conversation. I had a conversation with Misty at Kennesaw State University about this very thing. She was coaching students. She said, it's hard to hold them accountable because we're hard on empathy and low on accountability, right? We have to remember that accountability and empathy are two sides of the same coin. Right? I love you enough because you're a human being. I love you so much that I'm not going to let you stay the human being you are today. You have to grow.
Right.
And the more times that we can allow people to tell us how they want to grow, where they want to grow, what their goals are, what their aspirations are, and then say, how can I help you hold yourself accountable? How can I be a part of your accountability to those goals? That's a different conversation than saying your GPA is not high enough. You got to C in math, right?
Yeah.
What is your goal in math? It's a B. How can I help you get a B?
There's a lot of wisdom there.
A lot of wisdom.
There's
there's some folks sitting there like, what did he just say?
Sure.
Go
rewind again.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. Patrick, we're short on time, but we got one more question, and we would be remiss if we didn't ask it because somebody's listening to this right now and they're thinking, everything you just said is so good. I needed it 9 months ago because something happened and I lost trust. And I'm, in the middle of a school year here, and, we're in trouble. So for those listening who feel like trust has been broken, and that could be they've broken somebody's trust or somebody's, broken their trust, what is one step you would recommend that they start to begin that restoration process?
Yeah. I think something to remember is that our job in all of our relationships is to leave nobody behind. Like, I'm not going to leave my kids behind. I'm not going to leave my students behind. I care about you enough where I'm not going to just leave you behind.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's a toxic relationship, you need to cut it off. That's a different podcast. But in this conversation, if I'm leading a school or an organization, I would look at my students and staff and say, nobody gets left behind. You all have a voice. You all belong here. However, none of us are good enough today to be where we need to be tomorrow, right? So I'm not going to leave you where you are because I care about your growth. I'm not going to leave you behind because I care about you. I'm not going to leave you where you are because I care about your growth. There was a light bulb moment for me in the spring of 2021. It was actually my last semester teaching, and I kind of wish I'd stayed for several more years and kept saying it. But I looked at my students and I said, listen to me. You need to understand that I'm holding you accountable because I care about you, not because I don't like you or we're trying to fulfill some standard that's going to make me feel better. People need to hear that I care enough about you for you to grow.
Yeah.
The old adage is, don't get upset when your coach yells at you. Get upset when your coach ignores you because at that point you've ceased to exist, right?
Yeah.
I'm not advocating yelling, but what I would love to see us do more in schools, and we can do that this week. School's about to start, or school's already started, whatever that looks like. Dive in and do it. Number one, lead with positivity. Be excited you're there. Be excited they're there, and be grateful that they showed up. right? I know sometimes you look at your class and you go, man, today would have been awesome if none of you had come. However, none of us would have a job if they didn't show up.
Better not
right?
to say those
You
things
chose,
out loud.
You chose education for a reason. Be happy that the kids showed up.
Yeah.
Show them gratitude that they're there and show them that you're excited to grow them. Get to know the people in your vicinity, right? Earlier, we talked about how acquaintances, it's hard to set boundaries or hold people accountable when they're just acquaintances because we're in that kind of gray area of relationship. The more we get to know each other, the more likely it is that we are connected enough that I can hold you accountable. And to remember that the healthiest relationships are that 5-to-1 ratio, that I would wish for every educator and every leader to enter a room with positivity first. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have such a great day. There may be times where I have to correct you or show you the way or you hold you to a standard that maybe you're not ready for, but it's because I care. Not because I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not because I don't like you. It's because I love you as a person and I want you to grow. I don't think we have those conversations intentionally enough.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's my job to correct you. Of course it is. But I'm going to do so because I care about you and I want you to achieve the goals that you set for yourself. I want to know what those goals are. I want to know how I can be a part of that process. That would be my goal for this school year.
It's your job to correct. It's also your job to figure out how to do it in the best way.
For sure.
And you've given us some great advice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So good.
Friends, I know that you have gotten so much from Patrick during this episode, and we'll have some information about how you even can connect with Patrick in our show notes. Patrick does a dynamic session called I Love This Place.
Indeed.
And it is truly transformative and great information that he gives from his own personal experience and his years of expertise to be able to empower you as a teacher, as a building leader, as a district leader, wherever you find yourself. I'm confident that if you like today, you'll love to connect with Patrick. You'll love it.
I would love to come visit.
Yeah. So we'll make sure we have that information. Check out our show notes and connect with us on social as well. So this brings us to our final segment. You guys love it. Andrew and I love it.
You know I do.
It's time for DMI. DMI, of course, stands for Don't Miss It. Andrew and I both will highlight the one thing from today we don't think you should miss. So, Andrew, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. Man, he said so many good things.
So many. I have a lot of words on paper.
Yeah, I do too. I took a lot of notes. Luckily, I'm not driving, so I got to take notes. I got to go back to his two things because I love values. I love big words. But to me, like his synopsis of like the fundamentals of trust or gratitude and growth, to me, that was the biggest thing.
Yes.
And especially as he was talking, I'm thinking about especially the building leader, the educational leader listening to this and thinking about how they can utilize that. Because when you're a building leader, you're not just thinking about how am I creating trust with my teachers? How am I creating trust with my students? You're also thinking about how are my teachers creating trust?
Exactly.
Right? And so I thought about, it's really interesting, and I'm sure Patrick's thought on this too, but, the opposite of both of those things. The opposite of gratitude is entitlement, right? It's instead of, I'm so grateful you're here, it's, of course you are, because I get everything, And the opposite of growth is pride, right?
Yeah.
Thinking, I don't need to grow, I've got it all figured out. And I would say if you're looking for signs that your teachers might be struggling to create trust and connection with their students, I would say look at those teachers who are exhibiting entitlement.
Yeah.
Look at those teachers who are exhibiting pride. And I bet those will be like alarm bells, red flags that you can look for of like, that might be a teacher who's going to struggle to create trust with their students this year.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that. Like there's so many, that's a deep well, those two words and that concept.
Yeah.
And I feel like you could keep digging from it, but there's still a little nugget
Very
I'm
much
walking away
so.
with.
And friends, if you've been listening to us at all for a while, now you know that Andrew always takes the ones that I'm going to share. It's so ridiculous.
I had a feeling I was going to do that, especially when I go first.
Anyways,
Sorry.
it's fine. It's fine. No, but I have way more. I have way more that I can choose from. I think for me, It's always so much fun to do a DMI in front of the person when we're together.
He's still here.
I love it.
In the room. Hey, everybody.
So, I love, you guys already know this. I come from an educator family. And I think one thing that's true about most educators, especially those who really love their jobs, they're thinking about ways to empower and impact their classroom or their building in every aspect. So like Patrick goes to Home Depot and says, hey, I could get nuts and bolts and do activity, right? And so it's like the best of us, I think, are thinking about the people we care, the people in our charge in all spaces of our lives, right? And we get inspired by those things. Anyways, I say that to say that the rituals conversation that you had with us, it's like you made it so simple. I think oftentimes we get stuck in award processes and like recognition, but it's a very formal recognition. It's a way that requires money, time, resources, and we then trick ourselves into believing we don't have any of that to do. And you said, I need you to go spend $20.
Right. Or less.
Or go to McDonald's and ask them for your spoons.
Exactly.
Right. and say, I need to honor people and I need to, and for me, the transformational thing, I almost got weepy because genuinely that's not a surprise to Patrick. But the transformational part of this is that you were demonstrating to young people how they in turn can do this to other people and to care for others. And I just think that was one of the most powerful things I've heard. Yeah, in a very long time. That was really good.
You.
I genuinely am like trying to figure out ways to do it somewhere. I don't even know where, but
get yourself some space.
I just might make a group of people. I'll be like, what are we doing?
The thing about awards and rituals, here we go long. Awards, when do they happen? End of the year.
Yeah.
Everybody's exhausted, ready for it to be over. Have you ever sat through a banquet?
Yeah.
Good grief, this is so long.
Yeah.
Oh, my kid didn't win anything. Let's go home. But rituals, like the spoon thing, happen in the moment. Every day.
Yeah.
And then the section of the week was at the end of the week. And then mid-year, we would do nuts and bolts, or at the end of a season, not at the end of an entire year.
Yeah.
Like, why wait until May to recognize everybody when you can do it in October? Come on, guys. We limit ourselves through budgets and lack of creativity. So
and it also makes space for more growth, right? Because I'm getting real-time feedback. Oh, that was a good thing? That effort really paid off? Then I'm going to work harder. And by the time May comes around, I'm a different person than I would have been otherwise. So well, here we go. Just keep talking.
Yeah, no, we can't help it.
This is so good.
Our producer's annoyed.
We got to say thank you, especially Patrick. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the thought you put into this, but also the little nuggets of wisdom that you condensed for us and helped us walk away with. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the School on a Mission podcast. We mentioned it already, but if you want to find out more information about Patrick and how you can bring him to your campus or your conference, check out the show notes for that information. Now, before you hit skip on to your next podcast, we've got a little challenge for you. Hopefully you've already done this, but we want you to grab a pen, a notebook, a sticky note, or even the back of your hand, and we want you to write down one action step you're going to take this week. Maybe it's something you're going to do, something you're going to investigate, read more about, or perhaps it's a person you need to sit down and meet with. Whatever it is, write it down. Got it? Perfect. Now shoot us a DM with that action step. We cannot wait to see what awesome things you get up to. And until next time, folks, stay curious, stay bold, and keep leading your school on a mission. Thanks for listening to this episode of School on a Mission, a podcast for educators by educators, produced by Growing Leaders and powered by the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. To learn more about Growing Leaders, visit growingleaders.com. For more about the School on a Mission podcast, head to schoolonamissionpodcast.com.